Before we get started, let me just tell you what happened to poor Jeff this morning.
Oh, you don't have to.
For him, it's a tragedy. For me, it's a sales opportunity, which is really cold on my part. Jeff started his business with one of these, and I said, do you remember how to do it? He says, I don't know. Let me take a look at it. So we take the door off. He pulls out the dasher, you know, this not
that
very,
heavy thing there?
Emery Thompson Tough. And he drops it like this right on his toe, a perfect shot. Crushes the toe, breaks the tile floor, and Jeff's in pain, and two things came to my mind right away. One is he's going to sue me for workman's comp, and the other is this is a marketing opportunity because it shows you just how tough Emery Thompson dashers are. You know, they can do that much damage to you. They're so strong. Imagine if you dropped this baby on your foot. We'd be carting you away. Yep. I make this look light. It's probably about, what, 35 pounds? Yeah. But that's the way we build our dashers. So
now, why don't those springs pop the sides off?
Because I have little things holding them so I can do a demo for a demonstration purpose. So if you see poor Jeff wincing,
no wincing here.
Or sitting over there, you know, icing his foot.
No wincing here.
Or even worse, filling out forms to sue me. You'll know why. There's an emergency door right there that's open. Also emergency out this way and this way. You're just coming in. I was saying that any questions, just raise your hand while we're talking and we'll answer them. But otherwise, we'll get going. I'm Steve Thompson. I'm president and owner of Emery Thompson Machine. We are the largest manufacturer of batch freezers in the world, and yet we're a very family business. My wife is our office manager. Connie is our chief accountant, and a good friend. Crystal answers the phones.
Whoa.
I forgot to mention our vice president, Slade Harmon. When you call here, you're not going to get an answering machine. You're going to get a live person. I even give out my home telephone number to all my customers because these machines are so indestructible that nothing happens to them. Last weekend, I was over in Jupiter, Florida, on the other side of the state for 4 days, and I only got one phone call, which one phone call out of 36,000 machines is in 172 countries is pretty impressive. That's how sturdy they are.
Or nobody wants to talk to you.
Yeah, or no one wants to talk to me. That's right. So I'll probably tell you a little bit more about the business and the machines as we get going, but what we wanted to start off doing, Jeff and I, was show you what you do when you first get a new machine, and then we're going to go into making coffee ice cream. When you get your new machine, whether it be the CB200, which is 3 quarts, the CB350, which is 6 quarts. These are all finished product, not how much the cylinder holds. Other companies do a nasty little trick. They tell you, well, we have a 7-quart machine. It's a 7-quart machine if you take the barrel and put it on end, take out the dasher and fill it with water and get it up to here, the barrel will hold 7 quarts. It'll never make 7 quarts. There's no room. It would just be throwing out everywhere. So we rate our machines, unlike anyone else, not by the cylinder capacity, but how much do you actually get out in 8 minutes. So all my machines are rated on how much ice cream comes out in 8 minutes, how much Italian ice and cream ice comes out in 16 minutes, gelato at about 9 minutes. It's honest, true rating of the machines. This is actually can represent 2 machines. This is a 12-quart. This is going to make a full bucket in 8 minutes. And then its sister machine looks exactly like it, but it makes 2 tubs in 8 minutes. And the price difference between this machine and the bigger 2-tub machine is only $2,000. So this one really doesn't make sense to buy. We have it on the market because before there was the CB350, there was the 12-quart. And
so what we're doing, by the way, we're giving this away to one lucky person today.
Bite your tongue. That's why I haven't gotten around to introducing you yet. I've got to remember to do that one of these days. So for $2,000 more, you're actually doubling your production, or since they all make it in 8 minutes, you're cutting your time making products in half because you're going to make 2 instead of 1. For our purposes today, we're going to run this size machine, and we're also going to... Don't break the other foot.
Is it here?
Gee, Jeff. Jeff, hobbling around Jeff. Come on over, Jeff. Jeff Markow, many of you already know him, has a fantastic ice cream parlor. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Mystic Ice Cream and Ices. And he's up in Fruit Loops, Florida, right next to a retirement community. And what a great business he has. For a liberal, he is just a fantastic teacher. He knows an awful lot about ice cream. And where did you start your adventure of making ice cream?
Right there.
On the gym? You were on the exercise machine?
I was a person in this class, and I sat back where that pretty young lady with the black hair is sitting, and I watched him make a fairly inferior product on a fairly great machine.
Fairly great?
Well, an absolutely great machine. And I then was a believer in the Emery Thompson family, bought one, bought two, and 7 years later, we're doing a very large business. The dog is outside.
She's out for a walk.
Oh, okay.
She's okay.
And the machines are tank-proof. They're built like tanks, and you can't hurt them. But I do have one thing to add.
Yeah.
It will come up in a question. He just mentioned the output of the machine. We discovered over many years of the class I run that, in fact, on a 12-quart, you can get more than 12-quart out.
It's true.
It's a crazy thing. I have a 24-quart, and as you know, those people who were in the class yesterday, we get more than 24 quarts out. We sometimes get 8 gallons out, which is great because as it's coming out, it's still freezing and expanding.
Since you're putting more product in, you are going to get more ice cream, but you're also going to increase your freezing time a little bit because it takes longer to freeze 12 quarts of mix instead of 10 quarts.
Right.
But yeah, you can get more. I pick a number that is reasonable for everyone. But yes, I know the barrels are bigger than that, and they will freeze more than that.
Yeah, and they're also canted. You can talk about that, so you get everything out.
Yeah, the design of the dasher is such that it will push all the product out. There's also a slight tilt to it, so if you're rinsing with water, it's going to rinse itself. It's going to completely drain out. But the main thing is between flavors, which we don't get the opportunity to do today because we jump around. But if we were really making production, we would start with, say, vanilla, and we wouldn't make just one batch of vanilla. We might make 5 or 6. And then we might make butterscotch swirl, which is vanilla in the machine, and the swirl is being added outside the machine. So the machine still thinks it's vanilla. We can do vanilla, chocolate, strawberry swirl. Then we might do chocolate chip. Now we're adding chips, and we've contaminated the machine with chips. And then we do a mint chip, and then we rinse. So you could go virtually hours without ever having to rinse out. If you're going to go from chocolate to vanilla, it's going to take you about 4 minutes. You're going to put through a couple of warm rinses through the machine just to get the remaining bit of chocolate out. But it's about, I don't even think it's a cup that's left in the machine if you operate it right. Yes, question? I'm sorry?
You're going to switch from chocolate to vanilla, for example. Would you have to sanitize or just a warm rinse?
Well, if you're going to switch from chocolate to vanilla, which was the question, and do you have to sanitize? First off, you're fired because you shouldn't be going from chocolate to vanilla. You should know to make vanilla and then chocolate so you don't have to rinse the machine. As long as you don't open up the door and put your hands in the machine, you have not contaminated it. So you could go literally 24 hours nonstop without re-sanitizing as long as you don't open it. We're going to take a break for lunch today for about a half hour, a little longer. And technically, I know that the machine would be fine. We could continue working, but Jeff and I are ultra careful. We'll re-sanitize the machine after sitting around for a half hour. But that's the only reason you would have to re-sanitize. There's no reason to sanitize between batches. So you can make all these different products, and let's see what else. I did say that we're family. In fact, Jeff called me up the other night and said that he was buying his wife a new Volkswagen. Would I loan him some money? But no, we're not that family. But we still like you. Okay, so we're going to set these up as if you just got the machine. When you get it, it comes on a skid. It's not on the wheels. It's not on this cart. The cart is extra, and you don't need the cart. It comes on a wood pallet, they call it. It's a skid, and then it's bolted down to the skid, and then there's a heavy cardboard box on it. A guy called the other day, and he said, I realize now that this is an $8,000 machine with a $2,000 box on it because it's so sturdy. But you just, when you get the machine, you just lift the box off, you unbolt it from the from the skid and you put it on your table, and then you call an electrician. I can't tell you how many people buy a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 machine and then have their Uncle Louie, who once changed a light bulb, wire up their machine, and they wonder why they blew up the compressor. Because Uncle Louie is not an electrician. It needs to be a real electrician. And I like to do things like what you see on the wall here. Some electricians call it a knife switch. I call it a kill switch. Either way, right now this machine is energized. There's power to it, and I can touch the controls all I want, and nothing's going to happen. But I'm the type of person, Paul and I, we unplug our toaster when we leave for work in the morning. We're ultra careful about electricity. So I like this kill switch. I know I'm blocking it. But I like the idea of the kill switch because when that's off, all the power is off to this machine. So it's hard to believe right now, but one of these days, in about 10 years, you'll actually get to take a vacation and you'll leave the ice cream making to someone else. And you can teach them that, okay, now when we go to put the machine together, there's plenty of safety. You can do everything you want, nothing's going to happen. But the ultimate safety is we just pulled down the handle, and now there's no power to the machine. We can put it together. We can do whatever we want. And then when we're ready to go, you teach the employee, now you turn the power on. So that's about a $40 item from your electrician. And your Uncle Louie isn't going to know about that, and it just makes it simple. With these machines, they come with a twist lock plug. And so you just put it into the wall receptacle that your electrician ran for you and twist lock it in and you're good to go. And then if you're teaching people how to run it, you can always just twist, disconnect it, and the power is off. So we've got the machine hooked up. This one's air-cooled. All these have engines in them. They're called compressors or condensing units. Your home refrigerator has a little compressor in it, about 1/8 horsepower. This is 3 horse. And it's sucking in air from the front of your refrigerator and blowing it out the back, so you never even notice it. This one's a little bigger, so this one's going to pull in air from the sides and blow it out the back, so we need space from the wall. Not a lot, about 10 inches, 12 inches on all sides works great. And so the electric is all you have to do to hook it up. Yes?
What have you done to try and see how long it takes to overheat it?
My customers, the question is, because they can't hear the question on the tape, what have we done to try to see how long it takes to overheat? All our machines are Underwriter Laboratory approved and NSF approved. And one of the tests is called a lock rotor test. And basically, in the old days, when you had belts with the compressor, they took a crowbar and shoved it in and locked the thing up and then saw how long it took to shut itself down. Nowadays, they do it electronically, but it's even on the little name tag. It says LRA, and it says at what voltage this machine will shut down. Now the infinite overrun control, before you can do any damage, will shut down the machine. We do have people overheat them. And if you had a problem, again, I give out my home phone number. I love talking to you at 8:30 Saturday night. I really do. Because if I can solve your problem, it's great. I had a boss a long time ago. I had a boss, and he said, Steve, if you have one customer whose machine is down and you fix it, you're a hero. That's what a family business is. If you've got the McDonald's franchise and you've got 1% of their machines worldwide that are not working, you're a villain. Because 1% of your machines may sound small, but it's a lot of machines in a big franchise. So I don't sell to franchises. I'd rather do individuals. But anyway, you call up, and the first thing I'm going to ask is, when did it last run right? I think of myself as Sherlock Holmes. And I had one the other day, and he said, well, it ran right 4 days ago. Okay, and today you put it together, and what happened? It didn't run right. Were you the operator? No, actually, it was my assistant who was running it. I was on vacation. Has it been run in those 4 days? No. So now we know it ran fine 4 days ago. Today, the assistant puts together, it's not running. The machine just freezes up, overheats, and shuts down, just what you're saying. So we knew right away what it was. He put one of the blades in backwards. The blades have to go in a certain way, otherwise they won't scrape the walls properly. And by flipping it around like that, one blade wasn't scraping, it built up ice cream on the walls, machine shuts down. And then I hear, I've been making ice cream for 47 years before you were even born. Back in the Ice Age, I made ice cream, and I wouldn't put a blade in backwards. I said, I know, and I know you're an expert, but I've done it live on this show. where I've put a blade in backwards and I'm wondering why the machine is shutting down. It's not easy to do, but it does get done. And I'll send this around to you. You can't see it on the camera. There's a little dimple on the thing, and it shows you which direction that the blade will go. I'll pass that around. I'll pass one of the little ones around for you. So the only way this machine's going to overheat is if you don't have the dimple to the front, or you've been running the machine for about 2 years now, and it's not on a stand, it's on your table. And, someone's cleaning, and it moves back a little bit as they're cleaning. Another 6 months later, someone's cleaning, it moves a little back further. 2 years later, it's up against the wall like that. Usually I'm used to the cops saying that to me. Up against the wall. It's up against the wall, and now the machine can't breathe. It is air-cooled on this one. That's water-cooled. And so it's not getting enough air. It overheats and shuts down. So that's the second question I ask is check that it's got 8 or 10 inches behind and on both sides. So it's a very self-diagnosing machine. Yes?
2 questions. We had this discussion yesterday. What is that noise that keeps it running for a second and then goes away?
It's something that we have exclusive in our machines. As your machine, the question is, you have a mic on, so they know what the question was.
And I'm here.
And you're here. Hi, Jeff.
I'm in the room here.
It's good to see you. As the machine sits here, especially when they're brand new, you'll hear that come on. The compressor and the gas is down in a tank down below. And with the machine off, the gas seeps up to the freezing chamber. The compressor's coming on to pump the gas back down. We do that because it makes the compressor last decades longer than anybody else's machines. Give you an example. You're up in Vermont, and your car is on a steep hill, and it's 20 below zero out. And you come out the next morning, you start your engine, and immediately drive up that hill. Your car will do it, but you're putting a hell of a strain on the car. It's rock cold, hasn't had any warm-up whatsoever. It's 20 below zero, and you're going up a steep incline. That's putting a strain on your engine. As the gas comes up like this, you're putting a strain on the compressor to pump it back down if it just sits.
That being said, doesn't the kill switch override that?
No, because the only time it's going to really get like that is after a couple of months.
Okay.
If it was off for a couple of months, I would then go off, on, off, on.
Okay.
But what it does, as compared to your car being in Phoenix, and it's 70 degrees, and you get in the car and you drive off on a level plane, that's not putting a strain on the engine. So we're actually saving the compressor from a buildup of pressure, which would be true in your central air conditioning, or any other machine that you have. They don't have that feature. That's something that we designed so that the compressor always thinks it's in Phoenix and it's 70 degrees. So we've got the electric hooked up. For this one, the water connections are in the back. It's just what they call a garden hose, just like outside in front of your house when you want to wash your car. We supply the hoses. You have the garden hose connection on the wall. You just screw it in. The return line comes out and can go to either a drain, there's a drain over behind Jeff in the floor, or what they call an indirect waste. An indirect waste is in your piping underneath your sink, there's a gap, and that's called an indirect waste, and they say the hose can go into that. Quite frankly, what I do is and the machine will pump the water away. If my sink or my indirect waste was down the hall and I had to go over the ceiling, down and down to get to my indirect waste, the machine will pump it away without any problem. It's under partial pressure.
I see a lot of glazed eyes. Let me assure you of something. This is the simplest machine in the world to operate. I mean, I've got people going through my class, and even those people can operate it. You buy the machine. You buy the machine. You have an electrician get the 220. You plug it in, and that's it. And then every day you make ice cream. It's so simple. If it's a water-cooled machine, it comes from the faucet, goes into the machine, comes out in the sink. It's the height of simplicity. So there's nothing intimidating here. Yes.
What kind of head can the pump do on the machine?
What kind of what?
Head elevation.
As far as pumping the water away?
Or living in Denver. What do we mean?
Easily a second floor.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. So what you're telling me is I'm getting too complex, so why don't we make some ice cream?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
It's a very simple thing.
Let's make some ice cream. Why don't you sanitize this one for me,
Sure,
and I'll do this one.
sure.
Okay. Don't drop the parts on your foot.
Okay, you want that?
Thank you.
All right. Steve uses a product called
Sterasheen.
Sterasheen to sanitize the machine.
Looks like that.
Looks just like that.
You can use just a cap, not a cup, but a cap full of Clorox bleach to 3 gallons of water and do the same job. But I find health departments just are not up on the whole world, and they go, oh, you're using chlorine in your machine, that's horrible. Well, to avoid that, since they don't seem to know all the time what we want them to know, I at least keep this around because this is an approved product, nationwide. All the health departments love it, and they see it right there, and they go, oh, this person knows what they're doing. They have Sterasheen. So this is a chlorine-based product, and it's going to kill off, what we're trying to do is kill off any bacteria in the machine before we start making ice cream. So I'm going to pour this into this one. And if you read and follow the instructions carefully, you don't... Aha. You see that? Last thing I did was close the door. Why is it leaking all over the floor? The gate's open. Yes. And believe me, you'll do it. And you'll go, expletive deleted Steve Thompson, it's leaking. Well, it's not leaking. It's you left the gate open. We're here to make every mistake possible.
And to entertain you.
Yeah, and to drop things on your foot. Check the gate for me. Hi, Sammy. She's just dying to come in here. Now, there's just water in here, so I'm going to turn this on so it starts spinning. So let me pick homemade, start. And now it's sloshing all around. I'm not turning on the refrigeration. Go ahead, Jeff. When we go to make ice cream, I will turn this on. I'll select what product I want to make, and then I'll turn on the refrigeration switch so it instantly starts getting cold. And that starts the 8 or so minute process. Right now, there's just water in here. If I turn on the refrigeration, I'm going to make a giant ice cube. It's going to just freeze up against the wall, something awful. So refrigeration stays off. Also, when I go to take ice cream out of the machine, you'll see me turn off the refrigeration, open the gate, and it's all going to flood out very fast. But water is a lot looser than ice cream or ices. So if I open this gate right now, we're all going to get a bath. It's just going to shoot water everywhere. So you turn it off and drain it out. Now, if you read and follow the directions on the Sterasheen, you don't have to do anything more than that. But neither Jeff nor I carefully measured the Sterasheen or the water. So I'm going to do another rinse after. Do you do a rinse, or do you just go straight to it?
Well, as you know, I do this after I'm done.
Uh-huh.
And then in the morning, I'm ready to go.
Okay. I don't. I sanitize just before I'm about to make ice cream, just in case the Egyptian plague came through here last night and contaminated. What are you doing?
I don't know. What am I doing?
You didn't tighten the cover knob.
Who didn't?
I didn't tighten the cover knobs.
I thought that's what I heard.
Just what you said. So, like I said, we're going to do everything. The whole purpose of my tapes is you'll come away from here today and just think to yourself, if that idiot
Right.
Steve Thompson can make ice cream, imagine what I can do. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
Back there, that's what I thought.
Yes.
If that idiot can
do it, imagine what I can do. Hey, I have no problem with that. Now, I'm going to keep this water off to the side, the sanitary water, because now anything that comes in contact with the ice cream, spatulas, this, even my hands, I don't wear gloves. Now everything is more sanitary than it was. So I can pull a spatula out of here and work, and it's sanitized. I am going to just run a quick rinse. And this is just cold tap water, nothing special.
Yes.
You have to answer the question, or tell the question.
Okay, is there any concern about the spatulas picking up any of the taste of the sterilizer once you're using your product? My thoughts are it evaporates so quickly that there isn't. And if you, in fact, took those spatulas, put them under water to rinse them off, what are we doing?
Rinsing it off.
Contaminating again. You know, the whole thing, I do my sterilizing at night. After a run is when I rinse the machine, sterilize it, and break it down. And in effect, what I'm doing is recontaminating it by putting it back in the sink and cleaning off the dasher and all that after I've sterilized it. And then the next morning, we put the machine together, and I'm ready to go. In the real world, a Disneyland of bacteria isn't going to crop up overnight because you've sterilized the machine. And I run my machine every day, and I don't have a problem. The reason I do it at night is so that I don't smell the chlorine anywhere near my product. It's just a thing in my head. I do it the night before the machine. I smell that Clorox smell, and I love it. And then I go home. The next morning, machine smells neutral, totally neutral. So I feel good. May not be the correct way to do it or the legal way to do it.
Yeah,
right?
it's not.
But in fact, even today, we've just sterilized these machines, and we're about to now contaminate them. So, you know, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Down and dirty, I'm a brain surgeon, and I'm going to work on your brain tomorrow. So tonight, I just sanitized my hands. Now I'm going to bed. And tomorrow, I'm ready to do surgery. So you decide.
However, we all know
I don't know
how
where that
bad
one
this
came
is
from.
for you.
I don't know where that came from.
We know how bad this is for you because this prevents you from getting real-world bacteria in your life.
I have a
and
dog.
that makes you sick all the time.
I have a dog. I have so much bacteria in my life.
Correct.
It's unbelievable.
Correct. And I'm friends with you, so
Yeah,
there you
so
go.
it carries over. Okay, let me go get the ice cream blend. Would you tell them what the ice cream blend is?
With the
What
mix?
mix is?
Okay. Steve is going to get the ice cream mix. By the way, I know I see it on your faces, this whole machine thing. I saw the intimidation. Really, there is none. Is there any? No, there's no intimidation. You got to use these machines for the first time yesterday, hands-on, and they really appear intimidating, but they're not. You can even use it. First time out of the box. The ice cream mix, which you'll all have to use in some form or another, is a blend of cream, skim milk, milk solids, a little sugar, and in some cases a little vanilla. You can't make your own. It's too complex to make it, and then it has to be pasteurized. So you can buy a $20,000 pasteurizer, or you can simply contact a dairy, and they're in every part of the world. If they're not in New Zealand because they don't have dairy cows there, then you can either import it or you can use a powdered mix, add water or the other ingredients to it, and make your own mix. But you'll need mix. Luckily, in the States, in the United States, we are all able to get this stuff. It comes universally. It always comes in these bladders, which are 10 quarts, 2.5 gallons, and they come 2 to a box. The only problem that girl back there won't be able to make ice cream as easily as this big strapping guy over there is this. And I've figured out a way to overcome that, and I go through that in our classes so that everybody can use these. They're heavy, and they're unwieldy, and they have a spout on one end, and the trick is to get this into that little hole up here. So it can be a little funny, not funny. What's the word?
Intimidating.
Well, yeah, it can. It's a little unwieldy to get this thing happening. So I came up with a way to do it for even the 85-pound, petite, little dainty people who have to do it. Not necessarily girls. There are 85-pound, petite, little guys who come through my class. So, yes, sir. That's what you were doing by raising your hand. So follow through.
I've seen several of the seminars
because the opening is that big.
Yeah, this is a funnel.
It's that big, and a funnel is like that when you get down to the bottom.
The
You'll be
bottom
there
of the
all
neck
day.
of the funnel, it would never go. Right. What I do is, in my store, in my ice cream store, we empty these into Arizona iced tea jugs, and we use funnels because we use this for shake mix. That's a $20 tip. Pay at the door. And it's hard. It takes a long time. When I see the girls doing it, I see one girl holding the funnel and the other trying to aim for the middle of the funnel to get it to go faster. So funnels really are counterproductive unless you're changing the oil in your car, right? And even then, the good mechanics just take the oil right into the spout.
So watch me pour this in. The trick I found is if you rest it on the machine, you're probably going to spill. If you raise it up a little bit. Now let me make you feel bad. As I'm pouring this in, and he's telling you how it can be daunting, I'm blind in one eye. So here's a blind in one eye old guy who is pouring mix in and not spilling a drop. So it's not that hard. Okay, I've got my mix in here. Let's look at the formula.
Do they have the recipe for this in front of them?
Just passed it out.
Okay.
Okay, this is
Real
my
coffee ice cream. Okay.
Let me get this going, and then I'll explain the name. I'm using Taster's Choice. I'm going to get all the ingredients going, and then I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to set this for homemade. I want maximum. Well, I'll do super premium. Start that. It's spinning. Refrigeration. Now I'm adding my flavor, my Taster's Choice freeze-dried crystals. And I'll explain all these in a second. And my cheap Hershey's syrup. Just a few squirts. Now, here's what I did. I'm a coffee snob. I roast my own beans, I grind my own beans afterwards, and I import them from all over the world. It's my one small vice is coffee. I love coffee. If you want a bad cup of coffee, have instant coffee. It doesn't get any worse than this. But when you go to make ice cream, this Taster's Choice is the best stuff in the world for ice cream. The crystals will dissolve about 98% right in the machine, which means once in a while you get a little crunch of a crystal, which is kind of fun. It tells you it's coffee. But this makes a fabulous coffee ice cream, as you'll see. I put a lot in because I call it hair on your spleen coffee ice cream, because my coffee is really strong. Why? Because I think Starbucks is weak. I want stronger than Starbucks. If you're a tea drinker, you're not going to buy my coffee ice cream. It ain't going to happen. You don't like coffee, so why would you buy coffee ice cream? I'm making this for the coffee drinker, and they're going to be very impressed by it. Now, the one problem with Taster's Choice is it has a bitter aftertaste. So one of my customers, Gary Faselli, but Gary's Ice Cream in Massachusetts, came up with, you put a few squirts of Hershey syrup into the coffee ice cream, and it takes away the bitterness. You'll never taste the chocolate, but it'll make a smoother coffee ice cream. It works beautifully well. I made this once years ago. My sister and brother-in-law just moved down from Illinois, and I told her, don't steal my ice cream. Well, I saw her one day stealing my ice cream, and it was coffee, and I didn't see her for 3 days. And she comes back after, and I did call her up, and I say, I saw you stole my coffee ice cream. Don't eat it after 6 p.m. at night. Well, I see her 3 days later, her eyes are dragging down by her bottom of her ankles, and she looks like death warmed over. I said, what happened to you? She said, I ate a pint of your ice cream at 11 o'clock at night. I've been up for 3 days. So then I came on the fact that you can use decaf, Taster's Choice. So this is the decaf. This won't wake you up. So if Jeff and I bore you to death, this isn't going to help. But
You're really good today.
Well, thank you.
You're really funny today. This
Thank
is
you.
good.
But so anyway, when you taste it, you'll see it's strong. Yes.
What made you decide to go between your super premium versus homemade in your selection?
Why did I pick between super premium and homemade? I wanted to do homemade because I wanted as much ice cream as I could to give out to my customers. But this is only a 10% fat, which is the federal minimum to call it ice cream. It's important why we use 10 or 12% in Florida, which I'll get into. If I had a 16%, I would up the air content so that the ice cream doesn't taste heavy and greasy. Haagen-Dazs is a great ice cream. We put them in business. Ben & Jerry is a great ice cream. We put them in business. But you can't eat a cone of Haagen-Dazs in this. It's going to look real small for 4 ounces. You can't eat it without feeling full. And in Florida, because of the heat and humidity, the high fat makes you sweat, and it can give you a stomach ache. And if I go into Jeff's place and I walk out with sweating and a stomach ache, it's not because I'm so amazed over his karaoke. It's because the ice cream at 16% and a low fat, like Haagen-Dazs, just lays in my stomach too heavy. It's not the right ice cream for Florida. We run 10% here in Florida because my goal is always, the ice cream was so delicious, I want to go back and get another one. You know, I don't want, I am not touting that I'm the richest ice cream in the country. I'm touting I'm the best ice cream in the country for the market I'm in. Now, if a restaurant wants a high fat and a low air, or a gelato, which is low fat and low air, we can do that here too. You're tailoring, don't use the word tailor, or Cappigiani. You're creating your ice cream to match your market. Yes?
Climate dictates what percent butter fat you can use?
It's what I found is climate dictates it. And the reason for that is up in New York, where I'm from, the Bronx, where we were for 100 years, 2 blocks north of Yankee Stadium, if Jeff was running 14% fat in New York City, I'd run 16%. Why? Is 16 that much better? No. I want to say I'm the richest damn ice cream in New York. That's the only reason I would do it is for bragging rights. I came down here to Florida 10 years ago, built these factories, and all of a sudden I find out there aren't a lot of ice cream parlors. All us Yankees who come down with our 16% low fat go out of business. And it's because the ice cream doesn't make you feel good. It literally makes you sweat at that high fat content, and it gives you a stomach ache. So that's what I mean by tailoring it to the market. Now I'm just keeping an eye on it. I do not put a timer. I don't put anything on my machine that's a gadget. A timer, if it goes onto this machine, has to meet National Sanitation Foundation for cleanliness. It has to meet Underwriters Laboratories, and we're the only company that's doing this. All the rest of them are using something called CE, which is a phony baloney certification from Europe. But that $6 timer would cost about $250. And if that $250 timer goes bad, it takes down the machine. This way I buy a $6 timer. When it goes off, I know the ice cream's ready, and I go back to the machine and check it, which I'm going to do now. It's not quite ready. I want it to cut off like a knife went through it when it's ready. But that's why I don't put a timer on, because when that timer breaks, I throw it out and buy a new one. It's very simple. Also, it's mobile. If I want to be in my office, I can take the timer with me. I don't have to worry about, did I hear the timer? I'm going to have it right with me. So it's just silly things like that. So this is almost ready. In fact, you pull softer than I do, don't you? Would you pull that?
Not yet.
Okay.
I like when it makes a peak, when it holds a peak in the bottom.
Yeah.
When it holds a peak, it's still spreading a little.
Ice cream, like baking, is not automated. And if anybody tells you it is automated, they've never made ice cream. When my wife bakes a cake, now I'm going to turn that off and just let the gas remove away from the cylinder. When my wife bakes a cake and she sets the timer for 28 minutes, she doesn't pull it out of the oven and say it's done. She puts a fork in it and checks it to see if it's done. The higher the sugar content of a product, the longer the freezing time. So vanilla might be 7 minutes, strawberry might be 11 minutes. If I have a Cappigiani, which they don't sell much, if I had a Cappigiani and the timer always goes off at 9 minutes, my vanilla is perfect. Every other flavor I had to turn the machine back on because it's loose. Now watch how fast this comes out. And I can even speed it up. No other machine discharges like that. And we're doing work here. We want to get it done. Oh, by the way, the woman who asked about the sanitary, I added more water to this. So, and that's a nice, thick product. When you taste any product right out of a batch freezer, you'll say, that's really good, but Steve should have put a little more coffee in it. The flavor blooms after about 12 hours. It actually gets stronger. Italian ice, no. What you put in to Italian ice is what you get out. But with the ice creams and gelatos, they actually get more intense.
Bowls and spoons.
Bowls and spoons, you got?
Bowls and spoons.
Right here.
Oh, right in front of my face.
That's all right. So we're going to have you come up. By 2 o'clock or 1:30 this afternoon, we're going to say, hey, you want to make another batch of ice cream? Oh, no more, please. I'd rather shoot myself. But that's how fast you get it out. And then from here, I would go to another flavor that's similar without rinsing the machine. Maybe I'd do a chocolate chip. So come on up, and we'll give you a taste of this. Right there's a spade.
No scoop.
I'll use a spade. Okay. It's easy. Okay. I need to put these in something.
Right here.
Oh, wonderful. Whoa, she got the fancy stuff. Fancy schmancy.
Fancy schmancy. Okay, they know it's a buck a plate, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, one more.
Any questions on how to make that? It's good, isn't it? And again, the flavor will get stronger by this time tomorrow. Question, yes?
I have seen that many times you put vanilla when you make the ice cream. Is there sort of rules that hey, this time you don't put vanilla in?
The question is about using vanilla. Vanilla enhances almost everything, and so I use a lot of vanilla. I use Lockhead vanilla. I like this a lot. It's another family, George Lockhead, and they're in Colorado. So when George isn't climbing mountains, he's running this fabulous company making vanilla. But with coffee, I don't add vanilla because coffee itself is such an intense flavor. Nothing's going to enhance it. But a lot of other flavors can be enhanced by vanilla. Yes?
Have you tried pouring in espressos, like pulling shots out and then putting in espressos? Does it work?
The question is, have I tried putting in espresso?
In addition to learning what to do, you learn what not to do. Always see my machine, look. It's always there. There's always a receptacle under the spout. And his machine, there's a puddle.
Good, too.
So, and you know who has to clean it up? Not the boss.
Yeah, I'll just keep talking. I have not done espresso, but Cafe Ferrara in Little Italy in Manhattan, which is the most famous Italian pastry shop, and they make their gelato and ice cream and ices on Emery Thompson for about 40 years. They use the espresso grounds, and that stuff, I mean, it makes this taste like water. It's really strong. I mean, you're wired for 3 or 4 days. So, yeah, it can definitely be done. Anyone else? Well, I'm going to just continue eating this.
I'll continue cleaning up.
Well, no, you're up next. I'll rinse the machine while you take over.